Hello, wannabes and creators, and welcome back to another episode of The Business of Art, the podcast that attempts to demystify business for artists. And today we're going to talk about what I learned doing 4 Kickstarters in 1 year. But before I do, I want to drop some resources on you. If you've been following along, then you know we did 31 Kickstarter tips in 31 days. As much as I'd love that 31 episodes to go into my queue, I know that's ridiculous. So I packaged them all up last week into one episode. The episode is called 31 Tips to Help You Crush It on Kickstarter, and you can get it right now at thebusinessofart.us/31 tips. In conjunction with our Can't Stop Tooting Kickstarter earlier this year, we did a free Kickstarter course. That's 7 days or 7 episodes to help you crush it on Kickstarter. As much as I would like those 7 episodes to go to our download total, again, I know that's crazy. So if you head on over to thebusinessofart.us/FKC, that's Frank, Kentucky, Charlie, you'll be able to get an episode of our entire free Kickstarter course. And those are the 2 resources you absolutely want to bookmark. thebusinessofart.us/31 tips and thebusinessofart.us/FKC. Those are the ones you should tell everybody about. Those are the ones you should be pumping out on social media if you want other people to find out about our show that have Kickstarters, that have done Kickstarters, or are thinking about doing Kickstarters. Additionally, the final resource for Kickstarter is our Crush It on Kickstarter course, which you guys can get for just $7 by going to thebusinessofart.us/Kickstarter course. This is everything you need to know to create a campaign, market a campaign, and distribute a campaign. And it's yours for just $7 by going to thebusinessofart.us/Kickstarter course. And of course, you can get everything that we do at The Business of Art, all 100 episodes up until the beginning of this week. That's every hard lesson, every ranterlude, and every mini season of our Kickstarter. Everything except the interviews, commercial free, without going through our janky archives, for just $20 at thebusinessofart.us/volume 1. And that's it. Those are 4 resources that you guys can get today. 2 of them free, or all 4 for just $27. That will help you pretty much annihilate Kickstarter and help you build your business. All right, now let's talk about what I learned from doing 4 Kickstarters in 1 year. So let's talk about the 4 campaigns first. I ran the Katrina Hates the Dead campaign from September until October 2015. That's 1. Then My Father Didn't Kill Himself ran from February to March 2016. That's 2. Then I Can't Stop Tooting, a Love Story ran from April to May 2016. That's 3. And finally, Spaceship Broken Needs Repairs ran from August until September 2016. That's 4. Along the way, we also launched Gherkin Boy and the Dollar of Destiny activity book without Kickstarter, but for the most part, all our launches this year have involved a Kickstarter campaign. We tried to run a Kindle Scout campaign for Spaceship Broken Needs Repairs, but that was a disaster. You can check out my thoughts on that by going to thebusinessofart.us/scout. We had a whole episode about why you should never use Kindle Scout as an author. And I thought about talking about just Spaceship Broken in this episode, but what I learned on Spaceship Broken is really what I learned on all of these campaigns together. So I'd be remiss to not discuss what I learned from everything that I've done this year. And I thought I was an expert after Katrina, but oh man, I was so wrong. That was just one category. This year we dove into publishing, we dove into novels, we dove into children's books, and we dove into turning your Kickstarter into a business. And that made it a whole different ballgame. So here you go. These are the lessons that I took away from doing 4 Kickstarters in 1 year. Number 1, you better be damn well sure you have an audience who likes you and will buy your stuff before you plan a Kickstarter every quarter. There's a big difference between putting together 1 book a year on Kickstarter and doing multiple books a year. When you're doing 1 book, you can get a lot more money raised because this is your only book. However, if If you are doing a bunch of books, people will just wait for the next one. You segment and fragment your audience because everybody knows the next one is coming along soon. So instead of raising $10,000 on one book, you may find yourself raising that same $10,000 but on a bunch of books. If you want to do a bunch of campaigns, you must build an audience consistently that works their way down your funnel so that you can raise money on each campaign. Number 2, just because somebody likes your comics doesn't mean they'll like anything else you do. This goes for anything really, whether you're a fine artist or a novelist. When you move into doing something new, into a new genre or format, most people won't follow you. We opened up into novels and kids' books this year and saw our total backers drop considerably, from 294 with Katrina down to 155 with My Father Didn't Kill Himself, and finally down to 65 at our lowest point, before rebounding back up to 75 with Spaceship Broken Needs Repairs. With our comics, we could count on 200 to 300 backers. But by moving into other types of publishing, people didn't follow us because they didn't believe or didn't trust that we could make a quality novel. Number 3, a higher backer count does not mean more money. Our Katrina campaign raised $8,780 from 294 backers. Between the 3 other campaigns we ran this year, we raised $7,459 from 295 backers. Logically, you would assume that almost the same amount of backers would lead to almost the same amount of revenue. But we came up with a $1,321 loss from roughly the same backers. This also goes back to our previous discussion about splitting your audience. In 2016, we raised less than we raised in the entirety of 2015, but from almost the same number of backers. But we raised it on 3 projects instead of 1. This is a perfect example of how you can segment your audience into 3 projects, but not make more money at the end of the day. Number 4, you need to give your audience enough time to read your work. It takes about 6 to 9 months for somebody to read a book they bought. I have people who've had my books for over a year and haven't read them. If you want people to back your new work, you need to give them enough time to fall in love with your last work. One of the main failings of the Spaceship Broken campaign was that we didn't give people enough time to enjoy My Father Didn't Kill Himself. This goes in tandem with allowing people to build a fervor for your books by dripping out information over time, giving out samples, and generally talking about your projects so that interest is built. You can't just drop a book even to your existing audience and expect them to froth at the mouth for it immediately. Number 5, if you want to launch a lot of books, you better be really good at marketing them. When you start doing multiple projects, you will be hitting your audience a lot. For the month leading up to the campaign, you will be building hype. For the month of the campaign, you'll be slamming them with information. And for the month after the campaign, you'll be doing wrap-up. That's a 3-month cycle for every campaign. If you launch 4 books a year, that means you are continuously in a launch cycle. So you have to be really good at providing value to people and building hype without coming across as begging. You need to learn marketing down pat. Number 6, you can't assume everybody will buy from you. When you launch 1 product a year, you can assume more people will back your project, even if they aren't jazzed about it. When you're launching multiple books a year, though, you have to become okay with people backing what interests them and not everything you do. This is a huge mindset shift for most people because they are used to a massive swell of people backing their only Kickstarter for that year. Number 7, not everything will be a rousing success just because you made it. Just because you made it doesn't mean it will resonate with your audience. Maybe you made something that is super niche, like Spaceship Broken Needs Repairs. Or maybe you wanted to test out a new market and it didn't work, like I Can't Stop Tooting. Or maybe you were trying to break into a new medium, like My Father Didn't Kill Himself. No matter what it is, you can't assume that it's going to be a breakout hit just because you made it. And that's the same with all mediums. Jared Leto isn't going to get the same reaction to Suicide Squad as he does to his indie movies. So you can't assume that your products will be any different. Some will surprise you, some will disappoint you, and some will completely change the landscape of what you do. Number 8, Kickstarter is just one way to launch a product. I launch products on Kickstarter, but I also launch products at shows. I've launched products right away to Amazon as well. Kickstarter is good for certain products, but it is certainly not the only way to launch a product. However, the principles of Kickstarter hold true on every campaign. From pricing to videos to creating sales letters, Kickstarter is a microcosm of all launches, and what you learn there can be expanded into everything you do. Number 9, Kickstarter can hamper your live show sales. When you have multiple products, Kickstarter can stop people from buying books that already exist on your convention table. You're basically exchanging immediate sales for the potential that a product will launch successfully in the future. That's a high-risk gamble. When you have several products already, those become the focus at live shows. You have tangible products that can be sold. Kickstarter works against you in that scenario because you forgo sales of your existing properties to make money for your launch. That may work at the beginning of your career, but the more products you have, the less that makes sense. Because all of it goes into one kitty. All of it goes into one fund. If you're not making money at the show, it means you're making less money for your operational costs, and to exchange that for your product launch, that's just sleight of hand. Number 10, Kickstarter fatigue is a very real thing. Even though you can launch products all the time if you want, there is fatigue that sets in both you and your audience. With Spaceship Broken needs repairs, I was already acutely aware of this fatigue. I wanted to avoid yet another burnout from my audience. But the failure of my Kindle Scout campaign made launching my third Kickstarter of 2016 a certainty. If you launch multiple products a year, it's best to vary your launches and do some of them on Amazon, some on Kickstarter, and some others straight from your site. The less you can rely on one platform, the less burnout you will receive. Number 11, a campaign that didn't raise much money might still work on your table. None of my campaigns from 2016 have burned up the charts. But My Father Didn't Kill Himself and I Can't Stop Tooting, a Love Story both found audiences when I put them online and on my con table. Just because your campaign doesn't do gangbusters doesn't mean you can't sell your books. And finally, number 12, Kickstarter has to integrate with the other aspects of your business. Kickstarter is a great way to build and maintain an audience, but it's only a piece of your marketing and business strategy. It has to integrate with your con strategy and your Amazon strategy too. You can't focus all your energy on Kickstarter to the detriment of the rest of your business, nor vice versa. You need to find a balance. While Kickstarter still has a big place in my business, it's becoming a smaller and smaller piece of it. As retail, Amazon, and my con table take up huge slices of my revenue, Kickstarter has become a way for me to amplify important projects and reach people who don't live near me. It provides me with a base of funds for projects and allows me to get pre-orders to fulfill my print minimums. Kickstarter is an essential piece of my business. However, it's now just a piece instead of the whole thing. Together, we've done almost $40,000 in revenue this year. $7,459 is a massive piece of that, but it's only 25%. In years past, it was 90% or more. I'm very proud of that. So I hope you learned a lot from this lesson. It's a very, very hard lesson. It's just called a hard lesson, but it should be called an incredibly hard lesson. If you did, please head on over to thebusinessofart.us/iTunes/Stitcher or /play, or go to Podcast FM or anywhere else you download your podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review us today. It's the best way for us to find new people to help. And because we've got so much awesome content coming up, it's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything. So whether you want to be altruistic or selfish or somewhere in the middle, it still behooves you to go subscribe, rate, and review us today. That being said, wannabes and creators, I hope you enjoyed this mini season. I hope you've enjoyed all the mini seasons this year. This is the last time, except for tomorrow's Kickstarter, that I will be talking about Kickstarter specifically for the rest of this year, unless something drastically changes. Have a good day, wannabes and creators. I look forward to talking to you about something that's not Kickstarter very soon.